discovery, explore, balance, celebrate. When the journey is as important as the destination, natural journeys. Tai Chi, honor. Belly dance, enrich. Yoga, relax. Pilates, breathe. Meditation, reflect. Fitness, self, touch. Our lives are a journey to wherever we want to go and whoever we want to be. Natural Journeys is your resource for the finest videos, music, clothing, and accessories to help you with your journey to self-discovery and inner peace. Natural Journeys, where the journey is as important as the destination.
This is Omiyinka's production studio. Welcome. Odabo. Hotep. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for that opening production. You got your Omiyinka 7 here live, and I'm coming to you to talk about Oracle Divination Services and why I decided to become a practitioner of IFA. Number of you may have heard my story before, but I'd like to reiterate it for some of those people out there who might not understand. Yes, I was a minister of the Christian faith, and you can go out and find my testimony on why I no longer am a Christian. One might say, but you got your divinity license, Sherelle. Yes, I did get my divinity license in the area of Christianity to marry, bury, and to baptize. However, God wasn't finished with me yet. He personally sent someone to minister to me personally to bring me into the African faith. Now, most of us know that if we are African descent, we are not complete until we research our very own customs and tradition. Most religions is the sum total of somebody else's regurgitated philosophy. And if we are going to practice and be practitioners as African Americans, we might as well look up the authentic way of life. And I wanted to know, how did our customs and traditions affect us? As a matter of fact, upon completing my statement paper, which is going on to become an actual book, I wanted to know, how did the customs and traditions affect our race? How does that affect the African American male, his culture, coupled with his culture? And I tell you, I had nothing to do with the process of being recruited into the faith. When something is a destiny for you, God will send someone looking for you. And that's exactly what God did. He sent someone out looking for me to bring me into Yoruba so that I was called to become an Inyalade. I didn't know what the Inyalade meant initially. I didn't realize that it was a high calling to be over several women to manage and govern them. I wasn't quite sure if I wanted the calling of Inyalade. However, I knew I wanted to study under Chief Metahochi, Wali Zanu. He claimed me as his child and studied with me for over 5 years in one of the Egbe homes in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I was so fortunate to be gifted with the fact that he had pointed me out and came to me for studying to become a priestess and an Inyalade. Now, here is my story, and I'd like to share it with you. I didn't become a priestess overnight. There was tons of studying that had to be done. But I would like to share with you some of the books that I used that brought me closer into understanding the culture. And I can't say that Kemetic was not in my life because it was. Ron Anefer Aman, his books were very prominent in my life. And I'd like to share those with you. And when I began to write poetry, I relied heavily on these books that gave me guidance, Metanetter 1 and Metanetter 2. These books gave me a wide awakening into the Kemetic world. And for my meditation, which I relied on very heavily, and which I still rely on, and this was the main book that I used for meditation that helped guide me into guided meditation, where I began to write my poetry from the right side of my brain. This was the Tree of Life, the Tome Method, the Tree of Life meditation system that I relied on by Ron and Nefer Amnon. Now, in order for me to have learned a little bit about brainwashing, because I truly was brainwashed in the Christian faith, I had no idea that there was something beyond Christianity, and I was lost, and I was disconnected from my African self until I read a book called The Psychological Technology of Brainwashing, and this is by Chief Kawambe Famian Asante. And this book really helped me to open my mind to realize I was being brainwashed through Christianity. Now, I wouldn't say that divinations was something that drew me to. I did have a prior background in the area of being an energy reader, clairvoyantly being able to read energies, and I was also called an avatar who actually carried the ability to be a healer. And this was allowed in the hospital. And if you go in the hospital and someone wants you to pray over them because they feel you have the healing ability, then you must have something going on. And this went on for 5 years, where I was working with cancer patients in respiratory therapy who I was asked to give a prayer, a word of confirmation for the dying people on that ward. I was fortunate because my job was made easy because the gifts came without repentance, and I definitely was being utilized in the hospitals while there in Aurora, Illinois. Now, I talked to you about divinations, and divinations are a great part of the faith, and that is when someone has a question, needs questions answered, or when someone needs a healing. There is a divination done, an oracle reading, and there are many oracle readings from all over the diaspora and from all countries. There are different diasporas of divination reading. This is one of the books I rely on very heavily, The Art of Divination from Around the World. So therefore, I am not just stuck with doing one particular Northwest divination I can explore from around the world, like I Chings, like the Kemetic divination. And the other day I did the Mo divination that dealt with the Talmanac Chinese. And what I found is that it doesn't matter which divination you read through, because the energies will flow through the divination. But it's very vital that at any given time you can look into a glass of water and look at the ripples and the waves and give directions for people's life. People need answers nowadays. They're not in a faith because it is dead and devoid of power. People join committees and groups because of the benefits. And there are a number of benefits in the Yoruba faith. There's over 14 million Yoruba in the country of Nigeria, with Benin and the Ivy area being heavily, and Kenya being heavily endowed in IFA. Now, IFA is a faith that the Yoruba practice. It's a way of life. And everything is drawn from that. The way that the women are married in the community. Yes, there is something that they do in their community that is part of their religion. They do believe in more than one wives in their community. But the gentlemen understand exactly how the procedure must go. And there's also foods that are special that they eat, and there are ceremonies and rituals that they practice. Now, one of the rituals that they practice is called the Bembe. And America needs to be taught about the Bembe. And because I'm an African American and connected to Yoruba, I would like to introduce our world to some of the techniques, because most people who are sick, they go in and get a diagnosis, and then they never know the cause of this particular illness. But Ifa finds the cause, the inception of disease, and they know how to find a complete cure for a disease. So their Babalaws, who are working very feverishly, they are exploring every aspect of your life to find a solution for how and what was the inception of your disease and how they might cure it and the outcome. So the healing aspect was very, very interesting to me, that drew me to this faith, and the lifestyle of the women. And most African American women don't get a chance to talk about this story. But I would like to talk about mine today, because I've tried to carry the tradition in my spirit as well as in my lifestyle. And upon each family member I meet, I try to introduce the aspect of Yoruba. Yoruba is a collection of 250 odus, which are also called poetry. And within this book that I've been studying for years, over a decade now, to memorize some of the divinations in order to be able to recite them off the top of my head when someone comes to me with a problem. It becomes very difficult, of course, because you're memorizing stories for detail. And a lot of us have egg bays where we invite people into the home to come for readings. My home is not open currently for any egg bays. I am in a city where I'm trying to explore where are the Yoruba people. At one time here in Indianapolis, this was the egg bay area of Indiana for all egg bay homes to set up and establish themselves. But unfortunately, since I've been back, I have not been able to find one Yoruba concentrated household. And I'm wondering, did they leave or did they go underground? Where are the egg bays in the city of Indianapolis, Indiana? Where are they? Do you know? Well, I'm going to help to reestablish it, because there's so many African American people that are ashamed of their own traditions. I have found family members who needed Yoruba teaching seriously bad. Some of the family members who are spiritually disconnected and don't realize that they need a spiritual connection like IFA's faith. They have turned away from it for fear of what others might say. They have been discriminative against their own traditions and beliefs. And some of you are. Some of you don't know the benefit of having a traditional custom that you can reach back, far back, eons in time and history, and find that we are deeply connected to our ancestors, and find that God has given us a special opportunity to reconnect with spirit. As I told you about the Bimbays are a chance to invite the spirit here within your home, in your community, to show up and to reveal himself, God himself, to reveal himself through you by speaking and allowing yourself to be possessed and mounted by the Most High is definitely a gift and an honor. And most people do not realize God wants to sit and sup with you, but he cannot do that if you don't invite him in as a spirit. And when the Bimbays are conducted, you're inviting God in as a spirit to be able to reveal himself to the community. And what a glorious thing when God comes to visit you at your house. And that's something that the Christian faith don't offer. They're not inviting God in. Yes, they're trying to catch the Holy Spirit, but catching the Holy Spirit is one thing, but allowing him to speak is another. Now, yes, I was baptized in Baptist, but I was initiated into IFA. And being initiated into IFA also makes me a traditionalist as well as a Baptist. The foundational things that I got as a Baptist, and then I also learned how to become a spiritualist as a little girl. Those things will never leave me because they're a foundation. However, I have something to offer those Christian churches. And Christian churches, if you're out there, you must understand I've been trained in your ways. I know the foundations of setting up churches because I've been a founder, one of the 13 founders of churches that allowed me to build the foundation of Christian churches. But you also need a bit of your traditional African religion. You need to know the concepts and how it can benefit your organization. Now, there's ministers that listen to me and that are my followers, and they wouldn't be listening to me unless they knew that I was saying something right. So maybe they might want to invite me into their churches and help initiate Ifa into their teaching. Maybe they may want to become a Babalaw, or maybe they may want to become a priest or a priestess. These are all things possible. We must learn to engage in understanding how we can bring our traditional African faith into the traditional churches. It must blend together because there's many priestesses in your church that have gifts that are laying dormant. And I was one of them. I had gift beyond gifts of being a seer and a clairvoyant person who could manifest. But those gifts were laying dormant to the point where I had to leave the church in order to find my real gifts and to practice. Unfortunately, for some of the ministers, they felt that I was a great loss, but I came into greatness where God could use me more and be able to use his spirit through me. Now, there's a number of us out there want to leave Christianity, but we don't know how. We know that there's something different that they long for. We know that there's something in us that God has given us a gift, but we are laying dormant within the churches. But the main thing you must understand is that God is no respecter of person. What he's done for one person, he'll do for the other. And there's none of us that are only gifted. We all have the gift in us because he gave all of us a measure of faith. We just have to stir that gift up in us. Oh, you admire my leke beads? These were christening beads that were given to me once I was initiated into Ifa. And each one of these beads represents a different Orisha, a different deity. Yamenye, Oshun, IFA, Shango. Shango is the lightning god. Whenever you see the lightning in the atmosphere or the air, you will see the lightning bolt, and that is Shango. He's full of fire. And each one of these deities are not God. We do not worship these deities. We commune with them. They are an expression of God, and they represent the deity of God and the essence of God. And you must understand that Yoruba people are ancient old people. And this is a custom and tradition that is now being taught in the universities. And I am going to be introducing a segment of it for the training and development for African male boys. Because my traditional thesis was on the effect that females have on black boys coupled with their culture, I am introducing Yoruba as the aspect that needs to be incorporated into the black male's curriculum. And as I look at how this could benefit communities of women with 7-to-1, women to men, meaning that there are not enough men to go around. Yes, some of the women are going to have to consider a polygamous relationship. And some of them are, because they feel that they can be in a family and they can be wedded and have a husband that cares for them and that equally shares the same amount for one wife as he does the other. Else they shouldn't get married unless they can provide for both. This is going to become a big issue for African American women in the households where there are 7-to-1 women to men, because this helps build our tradition of our African families. It has nothing to do with men boasting about having more than one wife. It keeps our African traditional families alive. As you know, there is an attack up under our black African American families, and a number of us are being attacked and dismantled, and many are going through divorces. Now, we must understand that women and men are equally yoked within this traditional faith, and they're balanced, and they're respected, and they're not trodden upon or put in the back or stepped upon, but they're equally respected. And that's a great thing for the Yoruba women. We have accountability, and we're able to express ourselves without being shown partiality. Now, I have something else I do want to show you here. And prayer is a big thing in Yoruba. And one of the things I do is study religion. And I have studied and ventured over into the area of looking at prayer life and what prayer life means, and chanting. Chanting is very, very prominent in the Yoruba faith. So I found that there were some religions that chanted just like we did. And they spent time chanting and in prayer. And if it's just one word like my ho ringe ko, then we can become Buddhists at the same time by practicing with the Buddhists. And one of the things I was given as a gift is my prayer beads from a Buddhist who said that I was a bodhisattva. I said, well, what's a bodhisattva? They said, one who is an evangelist and who brings people into the faith. And lo and behold, I was an evangelist. And that was my MO in the faith of Christianity. So these are prayer beads. And you see those little 3 heads there? That's the arms and the head. And here are the legs. So you are praying and chanting. And with the chanting, everyone becomes on one accord, and people from around the world can join in with you in chanting. Now, it's nothing wrong in looking at other faiths and finding the significance where you can connect together. So I support my Buddhist brothers and sisters, especially the black Buddhist brothers and sisters, and I chant with them. Now, let me also tell you this, more than just chanting and praying. There's incantations, and incantations are very powerful words. And I think I taught on this once before. Incantations help your prayers. They help your medicine. When you are praying for someone, sometimes you must speak a powerful word over the situation so that this healing can come about. Now, something in the library pulled me to this particular little collection. Still, it makes me laugh. In this collection was a collection of how to do prints. And I was pulled to it, and I said, I must have it, because look at all of these little African emblems and prints. And within this collection are various different cards that they have created and made, so you can actually write your own little note in there. Okay. I love to send correspondence in the mail, and I think this is a way of connecting me to my African self. Everything began to call out to me to connect me to my African heritage. And sometimes we don't feel like we're well endowed unless we're doing something that's customarily a tradition in our customs. And we have to reconnect. We simply have to. Because what happened to our brother Bill Cosby is a disgrace. And we've got to become connected. There's so many of us that are out there by ourselves that are hooked on drugs and don't realize they have a spiritual disconnection. And upon reconnecting themselves to spirit, they could be healed overnight. I know this because I've seen many family members to become healed with a spiritual connection. Most of our conditions are disconnection between spirit. And I wanted so bad to stay connected to spirit. That's why I became a Yoruba priestess. Because in Christianity, it was too easy to get lost within myself. It was too easy to become unwound and disconnected with the world, because the world didn't come to see about you when you were slowly drifting away. But in the Yoruba faith, everything is done communal, and you are brought in to a setting with family. And if you're not connecting with those souls that are here on this side of the plane, you can reconnect to those deceased loved ones who are yet vibrating in the ground. You would never be alone, because you could always call on your ancestors. Call on your ancestors, Eli. They will pick you up, and they will make you strong, and they will make the way open and clear for you, and they will clear out the areas so you can go through swiftly without any objection. But it's very, very vital that we have to have vibes in our lives. Some people don't realize that. But here you will see you must get a vibe in your life, in your atmosphere, to make sure you're vibing on the right stuff. Some of you ministers right now, you're at your wit's end. You cannot hold your congregation in the church any longer. They're looking for something that they've never known before. They're desiring things that they have only dreamed about. And you ministers don't know how to introduce them to African faith. You don't know the beginning of how to reconnect them spiritually, to get them off drugs, to get them off alcohol. But you have to have a teaching minister. You have to have a bit of connection into the underworld of the spirit world. And you cannot get that without a teacher. How must you learn without a teacher? And there are many of us out here that want to be a part of helping the churches that are traditional Christian churches graft themselves into traditional African faith. It's nothing wrong with you having both of them. You must understand that our family, our slave family, were connected into the spirit realm as well as a bit into the Christian world, because they had to create a facade making the masters think that they were studying Christianity when they were in the backwoods studying how to become a traditional African spiritualist. And most of the mothers had the solution in their duffel bag. They were fetish people. They practiced High John the Conqueror. And the masters knew about it because they called them in when they couldn't get well. They said, bring that gal in here and tell her to bring her bag with her and her medicines too. That's right. Even our slave masters knew we carried the magic. I've told you several times, we carry the magic. What more must you know before you wake up and come to your senses? You must tap in to your African traditional faith. You must tap into your mother with. You must call High John the Conqueror and remember who your ancestors were. You must be able to cleave unto your mother with, knowing that your mother would never forsake you, nor leave you behind. They want to bring you into consciousness of your own African traditionalists. Yes, I left the Christian faith, and I left it for a good reason. I had given the greater part of my life to being committed to being a servant, to being not only an evangelist, but the founder of one of the great churches in Elk Grove Village called Christian Tabernacle Church, and also being a missionary at a young age, carrying on prayer breakfasts. But to no avail, I wasn't fulfilled. The gifts I had, I weren't able to sharpen them and use them for the benefit of my family. So the Spirit called me into IFA so I could practice as a high priestess and an Inyalade, governing and assisting other women who want to come into the faith. Now, I'm beckoning somebody right now that might want to come into faith, but don't know the steps to take, and that are looking for mentors to assist them. I know because I was there before. I understand you. Boy, do I understand you. I was there before. And you will have to have a teacher, and you will have to have a mentor in a mentor-mentee situation. But to come into your own African faith, oh, is it a blessing to know and experience the things from your ancestors. They will speak to you. They will bring you solutions to all problems. Ifa will mend your broken heart. There are many women now that are coming forward. They're coming forward either in manuscripts or books. I hope to tell my story in the form of a book to explain to you the magnificent way that I was brought into Ifa. When someone knows you're supposed to be a part of a tradition, God will send someone to get you. And He sent His best to get me. And didn't it transition into a wonderful life experience? Even though when I went abroad and my training had to be disrupted, God saw fit to send me those Eleke bees across the water, to send those Eleke bees to me to tell me that my journey would not interfere with my training, and that I was called to be an Inyalade priestess. I was so grateful to Chief Metahochi Wale Zanu for allowing me to study under him. The attention and instruction I was given, he talked about the literacy of being illiterate and learning the language. And I have been trying and putting forth every effort to learn the language to the point of opening a language school that would allow us to learn our precious languages, the benign religion, the ivy, the Benin language, and to understand Yoruba. It's very important that the things that you have interest in, you connect yourself to them. And in connecting myself to a language school will allow me to reconnect with the customs and traditions and the culture of Ifa and introducing children at an early age to the customs and traditions is something that I aspire to do. And it's very vital that most of you who are locked in these churches now find your way out and bring your pastors out with you. If you don't want to leave your church, talk to your pastor about introducing the tradition of African faith to your congregations. I'm sure it will be a blessing to you. I am sure it would be a blessing to you. And I can only show you tidbits of divination. But what I can tell you, the practice of divination is very, very important. I have a book that I would like to recommend to you. It's called Oladulamare. And most of you, I received this book as a gift. God and Yoruba Believe. This one is narrated by Iyanla Van Zant. And people don't realize that Iyanla Van Zant is also a priestess. And you might feel a warmness and closeness to her because her faith and training was also in Yoruba. And Oladulamare is the god of the Yoruba family. And Olarum is similar to Jesus. Orumala is similar to Jesus. He is God's right-hand man. So that story was a borrowed story, Christianity. They stole that from Africa and the walls of over in Egypt. So you're not leaving your faith. You're just going to the original practice of the African faith, which was a borrowed story into the Christianity. We must understand that Christianity was our slave master's religion, and it further indoctrinates us into slavery. And if we are not trying to perpetuate slavery in our households, then we must get out. We must get out, and we must show our pastors a way to leave too, and introduce them to the traditional African religions, because they can be so supportive in your households at a time when you need proper guidance of family discipline and family lifestyle and teaching. So many young people that are women who have not been taught, they need this faith to come in amongst skillful, seasoned women like myself and others to take our gifts and teach them about parenting skills and household skills and how to manage their home. I've been a married woman for over 39 years. However, I've had my troubles in marriage too. Leaving a marriage and coming back to a marriage, being proposed to by other priestesses. So I've had my gimmick, but nevertheless, I put time in for 39 years to the same gentleman. And it's very vital that everyone should have an opportunity for the tradition of marriage. It is a traditional institute. The institute of marriage is quickly being devoured by other outside forces, and we have to work really hard in marriage and family life. So that's why I introduced reordering the marriage vows for the 21st century for the African American, because we have different needs. Our needs are not the same as Caucasian or those Anglo-Saxon. We have different needs in our households, and don't try to compare them. We must understand that we are African. And the question at the end of the day is to be or not to be African. We cannot be European and Anglo-Saxon because that is not our customs or tradition. No matter how straight we get our hair, and no matter how many eyelashes we put on, and no matter how much we bleach our skin, we must remain in our own tradition. And we must practice our own tradition, teach our children about our tradition, and use our mother with, so in a time of trouble, our children know what to draw from. Our children are lost. They don't have a foundation. And you haven't put it there, mother, because you want them to feel like they are a part of the global experience and we're all the same and we can have all the same thing. No, we can't. Now that we see that one of the greatest men in the world and one of the richest men in the world could be taken down, just think how easy it would be to take one of us down who don't have those bank accounts and zeros behind my name. We must come closer to our tradition and to our heritage, and we must depend on our ancient gods and our ancestors to assist us and aid us. We can't get out of this mess without our ancestors. It's our ancestors who make the way perfect and clear for us. It's our ancestors who will lead us into the new dispensation. We're coming up on a new dispensation. Do you realize they are recognizing the 430 some odd years that we are coming out of slavery? They're recognizing that in the year 2019 with a celebration. What will you celebrate? What will you be able to talk about? Well, I want to talk about our Yoruba tradition, which has been preserved and well put together to sustain us as Black people, and how we have got to name one of the tradition and latch on to it, because we need a foundation in a time like this. We need to find those gods that are still here in the earth, in the water, in the atmosphere, in the fire. All of our wishes we need to call on to make them aware of the fact that we are coming up on the 400 some odd years. This is our season to rule again. Yes, the Africans will come back on the scene, but we must be knowledgeable about our gifts and our talents and who we are. We must understand that God has preserved us for a reason. We are the indigenous mothers and fathers of this century, and we will be called upon to lead again. And just through this videotape, I know the Spirit is telling me I'm going to get some calls from those ministers who are beckoning and seeking my help to help them with their training and development of their Sunday school classes, to incorporate African traditions and customs within their congregational teaching. It's very vital. You cannot continue to practice as if you are Eurocentric. You must incorporate the African spirit and traditions within your faith, even for the women, to learn how to become virtuous women, to become full-fledged women who are not exposing themselves, but are being preserved for the right man that will come into their life. It's very vital that you should understand that there needs to be a platform in your life and in your church to talk about how to integrate African traditional religion within the churches. All churches, not just some, not just the African Episcopal churches, but those Baptist churches, non-denominational churches as well. You would do well to teach your women how to prepare foods and how to raise their children. These are all things that are connected with family lifestyle. And that is one of the main things in Yoruba teaching. We learn family lifestyle. We not only learn how to read oracles. And why would one want to read oracles? There are many troubles that beset African Americans, and they have many questions where they want solutions, quick solutions, and divination would be a way that you can always get direction for your life and get answers and solutions for your life. Divinations are done at the inception of a king or queen. They're done at the inception of ordination, for the new birth of a child, for the naming ceremony of a child. These are all things that you must have access to. How is it that the Caucasian know about our name ceremony procedures and we don't even have a clue? We are evading all of our traditional customs that we must learn. We must learn how to prepare the body during a burial ceremony, how to deliver the body through reading of the last will and testimony of that particular family member who is making their transition from eldership to ancestralship. We must understand that. We must understand that pouring libation is a very traditional custom, that we pour libation and we call on our ancestors, Eli. Let us call on our ancestors now as we call on Oladulama and we call on IFA. IFA, come and be present with us. And we call on Oromala. Oromala, we kneeled at your feet. You know the inception of our being when we came here. We promised that we came here to do something. and we committed ourselves to you, and we said that we were here on special assignment. We're only passing through. And as we are here on special assignment, wake us up and open our eyes that we may see that African traditional oracle reading belongs back in our traditional African churches. We must change our names. We must come away from the slave master religion. If we do this, we can change our condition overnight. Who said this? Toussaint Louverture and Bookman Dadi and Jean-Jacques Dessalines said, we must give our ancestors, we must give credit, we must call our ancestors from the grave and give homage to them. And we must give our slave masters their religion back. So give Christianity back. Give it back. It's a slave master's religion. It was one that held us. It was one that kept us away from being able to be blessed, to be seers, and to be hearers, because we were not using our gifts. Now let us use our gifts and go forward and be fulfilled. Under this new dispensation, I declare that the churches out there who are seeking a better way, who want to become customs and traditions of African, they will come into the African tradition. It is my decree that they will wake up and they will be overcomers, and that we can walk in understanding. What is a divination? When a divination is done, it tells a story about your life and your situation. Who needs an oracle reading and divination? We all do. We all need a glimpse into the future of our lives. And who are those that can practice doing the reading? Our Babalaws and our priestesses. You must search out Babalaws and priestesses to assist and aid you in your plight, to find out the solution for your illnesses, for your marital problems, for your relationship problems, for your problems with your children. Now, I want to speak very candidly on how I think that the IFA faith will help those that are in litigation and that are in court cases and who need solution. Ifa and Oromala, Tahuti and Mayat are judges. They have authority in the courtroom. And it's very vital that you should seek Tahuti and Mayat, because they will give solutions for the end time in those legal court cases. If Bill people around him had to realize that he could have sought the ancestors for his plight and his condition and made a sacrifice as to what he had to do in order to circumvent and avoid going to prison, maybe he wouldn't be there now. But we are not connected to our African faith like we should be. We are not using our gifts and our magic. Say it with me, our magic. Because it is truly our magic. But you have to know how to work our magic. But if you're not in tune and you're connected to the Eurocentric faith and your slave master religion, you're going to be devoid of power. And that's exactly what Bill was, devoid of power. Because he didn't know his mother would, and he didn't know that he can go see somebody about that problem, to talk to them about who set him up, who put him in this position, and who were the ones that circumvented him and set him up and wrote his name down to be crucified. Who was the one that led him to the slaughter? He could have saw that very clearly, and he could have circumvented it and intervened and allowed a sacrifice to go forth. And whoever wanted him put away would find themselves put away. But see, the magic isn't done yet. Somebody can speak on behalf of Bill. Somebody can do a reading on behalf of Bill. Somebody can find the outcome for Bill. Because it's not over with, ladies. It's not over with, gentlemen. We must understand that we are Bill's family. And Bill was not connected to his mother with. And maybe when he come out of this mess, he will wake up and realize he needs his ancestors. I want to thank you so much for this time and opportunity to tell you why I'm no longer a Christian and why I decided to become a practitioner of IFA. I decided to become a practitioner of IFA because I wanted the power. And I truly was not biting for devoted power. And my membership was not going to be laying dormant, doing nothing. That I would only present my membership to those that could show me the power and show me the authority in the spirit realm. And Ifa, Yoruba, did just that. They opened up doors to explain to me how to tap into the melanin and the powers of our ancestors and how to utilize them. I have no regrets from leaving Christianity. Those friends that were once mine before are still my friends. As a matter of fact, they want to know something about the power themselves. They want to know something about the spirit realm too. So I tell young people that have to leave the faith, do not brew over it and do not cry and feel like you've disconnected from the world. You're only reintroducing yourself to the spirit world. The spirit world is eternal, but the natural world is temporal. So don't be afraid. You're not alone, never alone. And you will have support from the ancestors and from the deities, Obatala, Shango, Ishun, Legba, Oshun, Yaminye. These are all your friends. So invite yourself in to practice in a faith that is so dear and that is so well connected. Eons of connection of spiritual brothers and sisters that go way back into a period of time. So let's not negate our African tradition. You could be in Benin, you can be in Togo, the Hausa, whatever faith you choose to be in, but you understand you must connect yourself to an African faith and religion. Ifa will mend our broken hearts. Thank you so very much. And you've been a great pleasure to work with. I look forward to talking to you again. You've been listening to Omi's Production Studio. Go out and push that subscribe button down top and subscribe and follow me. Follow the leader. That's right. And make sure that you leave your comments down below. If you have something to say on the Yoruba faith, I do read your comments. I've been on the station for a while now, and I would love to read your statements. And I would love for you to be a follower, not just a friend. Thank you for being a follower. Thank you for being a follower. You can be a friend indeed. You can be a friend indeed. But thank you for being a follower. I want to thank you for being a follower. Thank you so very much. And do have a pleasant evening. Odava.